would like to introduce you to the work being done in Purple's technical working groups. So what is Purple about? Let me start with Purple's mission statement. You can find that on our public website, but I wanted to decode it for you. Purple is all about open APIs and open source. The process of integrating a modern gateway stack has become way too complicated. There are too many disparate abstraction layers from too many different platform providers, and porting efforts have become too difficult, harder to maintain, and unscalable to large numbers of products. So we are simplifying that process to improve service velocity and scalability, and at the same time, Purple enables and preserves proprietary innovation in a third-party services ecosystem. And for that, a common application model is essential to grow the ecosystem. We harmonize APIs through collaboration and convergence among our member companies and other industry organizations, and that too greatly reduces complexity. And open source community is essential. Look, our industry needs to coalesce the largest possible ecosystem and join forces and compete with encroachment from the web giants. We simply cannot afford to have every company redeveloping the same non-differentiating common infrastructure. Instead, your precious development resources should be spent developing value-add differentiation. And Purple is where service providers can specify carrier-grade features for open gateways. And speaking of open gateways, let me show you our vision for the open gateway and how it fulfills the Purple mission. I'm showing it to you here first to introduce these 4 technical working groups. They reflect Purple's emphasis on both open source and open APIs with good layering to combat complexity and reduce gateway integration costs. The 2 working groups in the middle are both open source projects, Purple WRT and PurpleMesh, and they are both developing common infrastructure and protocols needed in all gateways. And they are both sandwiched between 2 open API projects, the Highlevel API and the low-level API. And here, Purple tries not to reinvent the wheel, but instead work hard to make good use of existing tools and interfaces. We harmonize these APIs through collaboration and convergence among our member companies and other industry organizations. But now let me show you how these 4 working groups fit into the larger ecosystem. You can see how the gateway ecosystem gets layered. At the top, we enable third-party innovation in a services ecosystem. This is where service providers can best differentiate their products. And these services and applications are made portable. For example, RDKB or any other Linux-based router operating system. And all this innovation and portability gets enabled by a well-harmonized high-level API. The middleware layers are supported by the open source community, and I'll say more about that on the next slides. The lower layers are where SOC vendors support their own innovations and differentiation. Purple's low-level API enables the SOC vendor BSPs to plug in and take full advantage of the stack and its ecosystem. Now, I'd like to speak more about this PurpleMesh project because it's a good example of a Purple open source effort. But first, I need to explain what EasyMesh is. And EasyMesh is a standardized protocol to enable self-organizing Wi-Fi mesh networks. There is a controller uh, typically located inside the gateway, and it observes metrics and capabilities of the various devices, and it makes intelligent decisions about how best to organize the mesh. And then there are agent APs or Wi-Fi extenders distributed throughout the home, and they perform the decisions from the controller. In order to organize these backhaul links between agent APs and to steer the front haul links for the various client station devices. Now, this is all to provide good whole home coverage. And you can see that over 2 hops, we can provide much more coverage than you would get from a single AP, let's say at the gateway location. And this protocol itself is now developed by the Wi-Fi Alliance, and protocol compliance is also certified by the Wi-Fi Alliance. Now, this is an overview of our PurpleMesh stack. This is a open source, compliant, portable superset of the Wi-Fi EasyMesh standard. Our protocol implementation is compliant, and the open source has been made highly portable to any Linux-based router operating system. But the protocol itself is only a small part of a real product. So we implemented a production-worthy superset, which we demonstrated at the Purple Summit last year. The stack is buildable as a controller only, let's say for a stripped down gateway, and it's buildable as an agent only, say for a low cost Wi-Fi extender, or you could build it with, build it with both controller and agent for a fully featured gateway. And you can see several optional packages shown here. We have decision-making algorithms, we have Wi-Fi Alliance data elements, we have backhaul management. Those are the superset features, and they're all in open source. Now, the PurpleMesh stack is sandwiched between the Highlevel API, which we develop in conjunction with the Broadband Forum, and the low-level API, where we try to leverage existing kernel standard interfaces wherever possible, such as this one, here, which we use for Wi-Fi. Now, let me move on to talk about our works in progress. For PurpleMesh, we're moving on to implement EasyMesh R2 compliance. That's release 2 of the standard. We're also porting the stack onto RDKB and also pursuing collaboration with them. And as I said, we're collaborating with the Broadband Forum on a new topological data model for multiple APs and carrier grade management APIs. For the Purple low-level API, we are abstracting the QoS and hardware offload engines for incorporation into the low-level API. And for Purple WRT, we're developing containers and also lifecycle management. the lifecycle management is being developed as being platform independent. So that likely will be spun off into its own technical working group. But otherwise, we're generally implementing the requirements from service providers in the gateway product or working group. For the high-level API, rather than reinvent the wheel, the working group prefers to leverage existing standards. We realized that USP from the Broadband Forum could be extended to accommodate internal and local services, more so than just remote services. So we are collaborating with the Broadband Forum to make those extensions. And this will enable the same services from the third-party ecosystem to be easily migratable from local to into the cloud. And then last but not least, we have a security assurance working group where we are driving best practices for secure coding and also making sure that the Purple APIs enable innovative third-party security services. And finally, I'd like to give a shout out for the Purple Summit in the springtime. There you can learn much more about all of these Purple efforts. You can discuss with our experts and others from the larger ecosystem, present your own innovations and see those from others, get up to speed on our Purple projects, including training sessions. And here there's a call for papers. The website should be live now. And with that, I can take a few questions.
So the first question is there an interest from other silicon providers to join Purple, Broadcom, NXP, etc.? Wow, that was a mouthful. I apologize.
Yes, we are getting increasing interest in this area. So Broadcom is a member, MediaTek is a member, NXP has been participating as well, and there are several others as well. So we're getting good interest from silicon providers.
Awesome. And then here's another question. What is the main goal of PurpleMesh project, and how does it relate to the WFA's EasyMesh?
So the PurpleMesh project is a compliant implementation of the protocol, but it's also a superset. So we went the extra mile to develop the extra parts that you need to make a product. The protocol itself doesn't do anything useful. It needs to, in order to make a product, you need controller algorithms and much, much more. And we are busy implementing this superset in a portable way in PurpleMesh.
Okay. And then next, does the high-level API also exist in WFA EasyMesh?
No, parts of it are there, Wi-Fi data elements, so on and so forth. But we're collaborating and converging on a northbound interface for the PurpleMesh stack that would fit inside the high-level API.
Great. And then a next question, I'm just rolling these off. You're taking them so wonderfully. Do the Purple APIs invent new interfaces? And do the APIs themselves require the Purple open source?
That's a good question. So the Purple APIs, we collaborate with our member companies and other industry organizations, and we work hard to harmonize among the existing interfaces and tools that are available. So you can see in the case of PurpleMesh, we were able to leverage an existing kernel standard interface. If there are no existing tools or interface, then we collaborate with service providers, OEMs, SoC vendors to converge on something or adapt something to make it work. We try not to reinvent the wheel there. And these are open APIs, meaning that they're readily available and they're implementable on any Linux-based router operating system. And those open APIs are quite important. For example, they're what enables a third-party ecosystem for services and applications, as well as allowing the Purple open source stacks to run.
Great. You mentioned, a group of people, and so why rely on community open source when there's vendor proprietary stacks available?
Yeah, there are plenty of vendor proprietary stacks available, but keep in mind that each one of those proprietary stacks had to re-implement the same common infrastructure that's needed in all gateways. And that's a waste of precious resources to have every company redeveloping the same non-differentiating infrastructure and protocols. Instead, those precious development resources would be better spent developing value-add differentiation instead of, common infrastructure. So at Purple, we are coalescing the largest possible community of knowledgeable developers to help speed deployments. So the open source and the Purple open APIs, they're all carefully harmonized to enable proprietary innovations in services and applications, but make them able to leverage the community open source stacks.
No, and that makes sense. And so many times I talk internally within my organization is how do we build upon things that people haven't already had to recreate? And I think you bring a good valid point that we don't want everybody recreating the same thing. We want to, have an open source that is truly that community and where people can build off of. So that makes a lot of sense. And then moving to another question, does the Purple Open Gateway create yet another SW platform? Because there are a lot to choose from.
Actually, we're trying to do just the opposite. It's a good question. They're right. There are many software platforms out there. In fact, there are too many. Having so many different software platforms is actually bad for the industry because it restricts our scalability. So at Purple, we're busy converging the ecosystem onto fewer software platforms. So that's our goal. Having too many different software platforms, it creates factions, and then those factions prevent our industry from coalescing into the largest possible ecosystem. We need everyone to work cooperatively and join forces to build scale and compete with emerging competitors who bring a lot of scale.
Awesome, great. And then another question, what features are expected to be defined in Purple Highlevel API?
So that's a good question. We want to enable third-party innovation at the service application level. And for example, a new area here would be security services. So we're consulting and collaborating with security companies to identify the requirements needed in the Highlevel API to enable third-party services, security services. And they would work atop the Highlevel API, yes, but in order to provide good security throughout the stack, those security applications also need to link down lower into the stack, for instance, through the low-level API.
Got it. We have about 4 more questions if you're up for it, Dave.
Okay.
Great. So what is a carrier grade management API?
So that is something we're collaborating with the Broadband Forum on. The experts on that are in the Broadband Forum, and so we're leveraging the tools that are used in the Broadband Forum. And in fact, we have a collaboration agreement with the Broadband Forum, and there's a sister project at the Broadband Forum called OBMAP, where we are figuring out exactly what a carrier management API should, a carrier grade management API should do for PurpleMesh. So it's an area of ongoing development, and folks are welcome to join Purple and join the Broadband Forum and work with us on those projects.
Great. So actually, you lead me to the next question someone asked. Is it possible to contribute to source code without being part of Purple or any vendor or participant company?
I think, yes. Certainly, we borrow from the open source community when we put these stacks together, just like every company does. So yes, that's entirely possible.
Great. And then when will the first version of container lifecycle management be available on PurpleWort?
So we are, Purple is busy defining the requirements for lifecycle management, and we are on the cusp of launching a technical working group to satisfy the technical requirements. So now would be a good time to join that project and help us complete the work.
Awesome. Great. All right. And then I think we'll ask 2 last questions. There was one that came in late, but when will the first, is Purple implemented everything from 802.11s?
So we have implemented a compliant version of Wi-Fi Alliance EasyMesh. So that's a clearly defined open spec from the Wi-Fi Alliance, and we are developing a fully compliant implementation. It's currently compliant with release 1, and we're midway through developing compliance with release 2.